Steel band started in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a twin island state in the West Indies. It started in 1945 at the end of World War II, when everybody down there was celebrating the end of the war, and anything they can lay their hands on to make some noise and some rhythm, they just started playing old hubcaps, old oil drums, and whatever was available. Basically from that, the pan as we know it today developed. The early song was quite different to the song that we have today. Today it's a lot more what I will call a more refined sound, and it's the instrument itself, you can use it with other conventional instruments. Hence you find in some of the big orchestras around the world, especially in places like in America, in Switzerland, in Holland, you'd find people using the steel pan as part of their setup. I was encouraged to set up the Melodians on my return from Trinidad in 1987, when a student that I used to teach from one of the schools I worked at, she said, "Oh, are you going to set up another band?" Because previous to Melodians, I had a group called Groovers, and we were sponsored by British Airways. So I thought, well, okay, we didn't have anything, no instruments or money or anything, but we happened to find a few what I would call old pans, and through the Harrow Youth Service, I sort of got them to buy some more instruments for us, and that's how the whole thing started. It actually started in Harrow, and then we moved on to South London.
I got to know Terry and the Melodians in July 2011 when I found a random email in my inbox saying, was there any school that would be able to house a steel pan band, or the instruments from a steel pan band? And I, quick as a shot, because I'm passionate and I love the steel pans and had them taught at various previous schools and settings, and so I emailed back and Terry came to visit, and the steel pans moved in fairly swiftly afterwards, and that's how our relationship started. The Melodians have been regularly at our summer fair for the last few years, and staff come particularly early to hear them. And I think they're so keen now that actually we're hoping to start our own staff steel pan band. So I think it's just accessible and exciting, and something you can learn relatively quickly compared to a violin, for example. And so it's something they're very keen to be involved in.
What surprised a lot of people is the range of music that the steel orchestras can play, because in the steel orchestra you have what we call matching instruments to the normal orchestras. So where you have the violins in a normal orchestra, you have what we call the tenors, or musically they'll call it the soprano pans, and those are the ones with the highest pitch, and they would take the role of the violins. And then from there coming down you have things like guitar pans, cello pans, which of course would have the sort of range as the conventional cello, and you have the bass pans. Again, whereas we would use 6 basses, or in some groups in Trinidad they'll have 9 or as much as 12 basses for one set. We only use 6, of course. And the big difference basically is the fact that everything's made from an oil drum. They all started life as an oil drum, whereas in these conventional instruments is either wood or other bits of metal. I think that would be the main difference, because musically we can play more or less the same repertoire as a conventional orchestra, whether symphony orchestra or otherwise. Anybody can join Melodians. I once had an email from someone saying, "I'm a over 40-year-old white woman and I'm interested in learning to play the pan. Can you direct me somewhere?" So I replied to her and I said, "Look, if you want to come and learn with us, you'll be welcome." She turned up, and that must be over nearly 15 years ago. She's still a member. All I say to people, look, we can't give you any special lessons. You've got to just go in at the deep end. We've had a lot who went in at the deep end and they didn't survive. But we also have some who went in at the deep end and they're still with us. It doesn't matter about race, colour, creed, class.
I've been with the Melodians since 1993. The main reason I got involved with Melodians was when I very first started playing, I had a tutor and he was arranging at the time for Melodians, and I sort of got to a level where he said, you know, you should come and learn and play with this band. Introduced me to Terry, and I started coming to practice on a Tuesday and Thursday, and it just carried on from there, just never looked back. It was mostly curiosity that got me involved with playing. One day there was a steel pan set up in my granddad's sitting room. I just had a go and managed to work out a little tune. Just first time I'd ever touched one, had any interaction with one, and my granddad heard this and he eventually got me some lessons, and it just evolved from there.
I grew up in West Sussex, and in West Sussex there's not a huge amount in the way of diversity. I had heard steel pans before and I had really liked the sound of them. I was on a Caribbean music course, and in that course I had the opportunity to start to play the steel pans, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked playing the steel pans on that course. I decided I would have a look at my newfound love of steel pans, and I would have a look at steel pan playing in London. I went to a few different steel bands, and one of those steel bands was the Melodians, and I turned up with my questionnaires and all my questions I was going to ask, and Terry said, well, why don't you just join in? So I just joined in, and I'm still joining in the Melodians rehearsals, and I've been a part of Melodians since 2010, and I've loved every minute of it.
I wanted to join a steel band because when I was in year 4 I joined Steel Pan Club with my friend because we just thought that it would be good fun, and then I decided that I actually really enjoyed doing it, so I wanted to do it afterwards as well. I quite like doing a mixture of songs, so I like doing some of the calypso stuff and maybe do a couple of pop songs as well. I quite like playing because it sounds really interesting on the steel bands.
I love that in the Melodians we play such a variety of kinds of music. I love the jazz we play, I love the Caribbean music we play, the pop music we play, I love the classical music we play, and it's the fact we do such a variety of different styles of music. It just keeps me entertained and on my toes for the whole time that I'm in the Melodians.
I like lots of the stuff that we play. I quite often enjoy more of the music that other people have arranged rather than myself. I guess because I get more of a chance to relax and actually play it and enjoy it more. But it's very rare that a tune comes up in the band that I don't actually like. I like a lot of the lively stuff.
We have over 75 tunes in the repertoire, and that includes classical pieces. It includes Scottish, Irish, jazz, folk, calypso. We are linked with one guy in Trinidad who writes a lot of music, mainly along the calypso line, and all the calypsos we play in Melodians basically it's arranged by him. Sometimes there might be conventional tunes like Try a Little Tenderness, Autumn Leaves, which are old standards, but he would do them in a calypso rhythm. We also do what's known as a chutney, which is the piece we do is called Tropical Monsoon, and that is it's a rhythm in Trinidad which blends the East Indian rhythm with the calypso, and they call it a chutney. And then we've done some, what I would call some really weird pieces that is not part of the steel band repertoire, where we've had composers coming in, and these were for special projects. So we had a guy called Neil Locke who came in and did a piece called Asarima, which is America spelt backward, but that piece was totally out of our comfort zone. That wasn't all that difficult, to be honest, but it was a bit technical. It always started with people saying, oh God, this piece, you know. And at the end, when we finished learning it, and they hear the response from the audience, everybody say, yeah, it was really good, you know. But we also always like challenges like that musically. When we perform at any event, we can do anything from a birthday party, a christening, a reception, dinner parties. In our case, we were lucky in the sense that we've done a lot of what I would consider high-profile events, like playing at Buckingham Palace garden parties, playing at Westminster Abbey for both occasions for Her Majesty the Queen. We do also a lot of overseas engagements for the British embassies from North Korea, where we've been, to Zambia, and then between European embassies, Middle Eastern embassies in Dubai, Morocco.
My favourite type of engagements that I do with the Melodians are the ones where people don't expect us to be there. I love it because people can hear us before they see us, and you can see their faces as they come around the corner and say, "Oh, is that a steel band playing?" It is a steel band playing, and they're not expecting us to be there, and they're not expecting us most of the time to play the kind of music that we're playing, which is such a variety. And I love that. I love that reaction. I love surprising people and challenging their expectations.
A lot of the big engagements are quite fun when you've got a big audience and they're really engaging in the music and enjoying what you're doing. But we also get a lot of fun from the smaller ones as well, when they're maybe more intimate, like sort of parties or events like that, where people are still enjoying the music and probably more likely in the smaller events to sort of come up and ask you about the instruments and how long you've been playing and tell you that they've enjoyed the music.
Over the last few years, we played with a choir. Now this choir was what I would call a typical English choir, because these people, they had no idea about calypso. That was really foreign to them. They learned a piece which was Autumn Leaves and All Night Long. They learned this in a calypso rhythm with us accompanying them. And I remember the leader of the choir saying, when she first went to the choir, they said, "Oh no, we can't do that." And in the end, when we did that piece in Margate, and the choir singing and us playing it in the calypso rhythm, it went on like a storm. They really enjoyed the whole piece. So yes, we like that. We like the challenge. We give people the opportunity, especially the younger people. I'm particularly interested in the younger ones because they have to carry on the whole thing. Without the young people, the whole movement of the steel pan or so will die away. So we give them the opportunity to travel, to go to places that they would have never, they may never have the opportunity to go to. Although we don't use the conventional form of music, because I myself can't read or write music. Everything I do by ear. But we have people in the group who can read or write music, and we have some youngsters who, as part of the schoolwork, they're doing music. So it helps them, to expand on their musical talent. Again, the form of music we play, the type of music which we play, everything from jazz, calypso, pop, lots of own compositions we have. It gives them an opportunity to widen their horizon musically.
It's made a huge difference to children, to staff, to parents, and to the school community. I mean, steel pans are a very inclusive instrument, and one of your steel pan band members, Janie, has become a teacher, initially very part-time, and hopefully in September will be almost full-time, working with us and for us and teaching the steel pans, so that many more children will be able to learn, and there'll be differentiated groups in order to support that progress. So it's had a huge impact on our school, yes.
All the children I've ever taught have loved the steel pans. It's great for musical engagement because the kids come in, they love playing the steel pans, they love being involved in it, they love being part of an ensemble and working as a group. They have the opportunity not only to play a different style of music to what they're used to playing, because the music curriculum tends to be really dominated either by Western pop music or Western classical music, but also they have this opportunity to work as an ensemble, which a lot of the time they don't get the opportunity to do, because unless you're really good at an instrument, you often won't be put in the string orchestra or the wind quartet. But from steel pans, you are playing together as an ensemble right from the get-go, right from the moment you start learning, and they're developing their musical ear in a way that oftentimes they just don't get in other areas of the music curriculum. And I just think it's so important, and I really feel like every school should have a steel band.
Since joining the Melodians, I've basically progressed from being a player to trying to work out my own arrangements for the band. And Terry gave me the opportunity to try out these arrangements, arranging music that's already out there, but sort of putting my own spin on it for the band, and basically doing things I'd never thought I'd ever do.
I know a lot more about rhythm now than I knew before, because I do play other instruments, but it's quite different playing in a band as opposed to playing just by yourself with one instrument. So I've learned a lot about how to play with other people.
Being in the Melodians is an amazing all-round experience, but the absolute best thing is the challenge of working with so many different musicians. One of the things I often hear is people saying, I'm not a real musician because I don't read music, and I think that's absolute nonsense, and the Melodians is absolute proof that you can be in a really professional sounding music ensemble where most of the people don't read music, and to have everybody's experience and everyone's background contribute to the sound that we're making, and that's the absolute best thing about it.
I think the best thing for me about being with the Melodians is the fact that there's such a diverse group of people from all different ages, backgrounds, cultures, and we all come together and we are basically one big family. We just all get on. There's very rarely any conflict, and it's just a great place to be and meet people and also play good music.
I think that playing with the Melodians has made me have a lot more experience performing in front of people, because I don't really like being in front of lots of crowds, but I think that it's given me more experience with that. Kind of like learning new pieces and like getting to the point when you can actually play them and sort of feeling like you've achieved something.
What I would hope for the future is that we get a sponsor, because you know we need a sponsor to carry on. Although the school here has been very good to us, but we still have to pay them for things like electricity, for storage and other things. The head is she's quite, I would say she likes the band a lot, you know, because it's a two-way thing between us and the school. The future, as I said, is a question of having somebody sponsoring us. We had a sponsor before, BT, for about 15 years, and it would be nice to have another sponsor come in and fill that gap. And once we have a sponsor and we know, well, we don't have to worry about how the bills will be paid, then we can do more things, you know, whether it means getting new instruments, sometimes commissioning pieces. Although we'd commission pieces and people would do it sometimes for nothing. But it would be nice to be able to go to the same people and say, look, you know, we'd like to commission, here's something towards the effort that you're putting in. So yeah, I would like to see we have a sponsor. You know, and once we have the sponsor, then everything could flow from that.